All right. Had a couple people a- ask if I could get back on here to do a Q&A. So we're going to do that. So hopefully they hop on here in a second. Just here hanging out, waiting for people to hop on. Um yeah, no, that was fun to go live earlier. I enjoyed that. Let's see if they get on here. Yeah, there's been some talk uh of future plans. So, and like things that I've done to the truck and things that have been asked that they said they wanted to get on and ask. So we'll see if this goes well. I'm just chilling in the truck. Let's see if that works. So a couple things. Let's see. I know one thing is with Ridgelines, the transmission cooler is something that you definitely want to add to the stock Ridgelines. Even if your truck has, because mine had a stock uh, transmission cooler. If you have one stock, I would add one anyways, just because it is way better to have that. Um, I mean, to me, it's like it's better safe than sorry. Better to keep it cooler than hotter, in my opinion. Um, especially down in like the desert, like Utah, Arizona, things like that. I would definitely be getting a transmission cooler for sure. All right. So if you got any questions, just type them, and then I'll be able to see them. I was just talking about the transmission cooler and how I would totally get one, no matter what, on a stock Ridgeline. If you plan on doing anything but driving down the road on a paved road in like commuting, if you're planning on doing anything other than that, I'd do the transmission cooler. That's what I would do. Um, let's see. What are some other questions that I've been asked while I'm waiting? Oh, okay. This is something that in the last couple weeks, I'm gonna do some name dropping, but not necessarily in a way that you would normally drop a name, right? Nonetheless, so I hate name dropping, but I have to, so you know what I'm talking about. So, Whistling Diesel, okay? Whistling Diesel, freaking huge YouTube channel, right? Like amazing because he destroys stuff. It's freaking awesome. But I think he was calling me out personally. Okay, when he did his Ridgeline video, okay, this was like a year after I started my channel. Okay, um, no one else had a Ridgeline channel that I am aware of, and he totally, in my opinion, called me out without saying my name and or saying the channel, right? And was just like, he's like, some people, you know, some people think that they're going to be successful, doing this, basing it around that. Yeah, basing it around uh, around the ridgeline. Like, I think it's gonna be successful. And I was like, I'm the only one that does that. You know, and then he goes and destroys a ridgeline, which was awesome. It actually did a lot better than I thought it would, and I think it was way more impressive to people than they let on. So I'm just saying, ridgelines are a lot more impressive than most think. So that being said, also the second one, okay, I did this to this truck, right? And I put it on, body swapped it, put it on a 78 GMC, all that stuff, and made it like a monster truck, right? And then Ginger Billy, okay, like a couple months later, did a video of him doing the the ridgeline, uh what do you call that thing? Vagiline or something like that, right? But it's like, and that was after this, and he's now selling it, okay? And so I'm just like, and he even said in his thing, he's like, I built this, I paid to get this built for my YouTube video, right? And now he's getting rid of it. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, man, I'm just saying, you got to give credit where credit's due, man. Like, you got to give me a shout out, right? So I'm not seeing any questions come through. So I don't know if you are sending any. Um, I'm trying to. I'm just trying to see, but I'm not seeing any. I'm not seeing any questions come through. So if you're asking questions, I'm not getting them. Um, but yeah. So anyways, I'm just saying that I think Whistling Diesel was talking about me because I don't know anyone else that had a Ridgeline only channel. And then Ginger Billy built his truck after I built mine, and he's the only other one on a public platform that has built a ridgeline like this. There's only one other one that was prior to me that I could find, and I looked a lot because I was trying to get ideas and figure out how to do this. And there's a guy, I'm not gonna mention his name because I didn't ask permission or anything, but there's a guy that has a ridgeline down in California, and it's on a H1 chassis and has 54-inch tires. Like, I mean, it is a beast, right? It is sick. So he actually helped me figure out a lot of this stuff, just through messaging and things. But um, yeah, it's pretty sick. So um, I'll just go for a couple more minutes, thinking of some other questions because I don't know who's, if you're trying to send any, I'm not getting any. So maybe just type something and see if it comes through. But I'm not getting any. What's another thing? Oh, this is something I will say though. The purists hate me. The Ridgeline purists hate me, and the the square body GMC people hate me. So basically, all of the truck community hates me right now. Even the narcs, right? Even the Ridgeline people don't like me because it's not really a Ridgeline anymore, right? Because it's got a big block in it. But guys, you got to understand that that's the point. That's the point of being a renegade. That's the point of all of that stuff, right? I even got flat out suspension. I'm still repping them, okay? Um, like, come on, show me some love, right? But no, it's really a good time. It's fun. Um, but that is something that comes with the territory. When you're doing something so obnoxious, you're not going to have anyone that really likes you unless it's also people that are obnoxious, right? Also renegades, so that's good. Um, yeah, so keep that in mind if you ever do something like this. Uh, so yeah, Ridgeline people are like, I shouldn't say I lost a lot, but I did lose a couple people because they were like, "Oh, you're not really a Ridgeline anymore. I'm done." Right? Well, to those people, you have to be patient because I'm just going extreme with this one, but I have other plans with another ridgeline that I want to do. So we have to one step at a time, right? Um, let's see, what's something else that's been asked? Power, power. So the biggest reason I did this was because of gearing. There's no low gear in a Honda Ridgeline stock, right? So because there's no low gearing, it had really hard time climbing, right, and doing like crawling. It could do fast like deserts and all that stuff because the independent suspension all the way around, right? It's just a big side by side, is what it is, and it's really smooth. It's really amazing. Um, I mean, there's places I was hitting like 50, 60 miles an hour out on the flats towards Knik Glacier. I mean, it's whoops, and it's just going right through it. It's sweet. But I couldn't climb and do any kind of rock crawling, anything. So I actually have a video of when I broke my uh geez, I'm just drawing a blank, but I broke my not my axle, but tie rod, front tie rod, and I'm pretty sure that's where it was. And so I had to replace that. But I got a video of that on my channel, so you can check that out. So it wasn't quite capable enough in that regard. So I was like, yeah, I wonder if I could do this and then I could get gears. But I got other plans. So it'll be actual Honda Ridgeline and it'll happen. We're gonna get this. Um, but yeah, so that was the biggest reason I even did this was because I wanted low gear. I wanted to be able to climb. And now it's just obnoxious and it's crazy and fun. I did talk to a transmission shop down in St. George, Utah, and they were talking about if I did re-gear it because I had a 33s on this, right? If I did re-gear the truck the um, for the 33s, they said they might be able to actually re-gear the transmission, like custom, obviously, right? But they might be able to re-gear the transmission. But if you do that, you then also have to do the differentials and stuff as well because it's all together. It's not like an axle and transmission, right? It's kind of all tied together. So if you're going to re-gear one, you got to re-gear all of them. So that's what they were looking at before I just kind of said whatever. um, I have taken this truck all the way from Alaska to Arizona and back twice, and done multiple trails over there. So I have done a lot of trails with the Ridgeline. I think I put 30,000 miles on the engine. Um, Traveling and doing off-roading and all of those things, and I never had an issue. I did have to change my transmission fluid a lot, so that's another thing, um, because even with my cooler, it wouldn't stay cool enough for what I was doing. So, because of that, almost, almost after every off-road trip, I had to change my transmission fluid, which realistically wasn't that hard because it's just like a oil pan, for the stock Honda Ridgelines. You just loosen the bolt, drain the fluid, and fill it back up. You're good to go. Obviously, for someone that's just doing it recreationally, you're probably not going to want to do that, and you're probably not going to use it or push it as hard as I did. Nonetheless, I would definitely keep that fluid changed if needed. But I would burn up the transmission fluid almost every trip because I would be pushing the limit, which was the whole point. So it was what it was. It was tons of fun though. It was tons of fun. It actually was really comfortable to drive. I'm actually almost 6'2", and so I'm 6'1" to 6'2", depending who measures, right? Depends on the doctor. But I actually fit pretty well in this relative to how the size of it, right? It's not a full size truck, but I actually fit pretty decent inside, and that's part of the reason I wanted to have one of these too was because of that. It was pretty comfortable to sit in. Um, so that's one of those, the space, the storage. I have 3 kids, like I said in my last video, and so I needed space for all of them as well, and a Tacoma just wasn't really in the cards for that. So that just wasn't something to happen. Um, yeah, let's see. Anything else? Something. Okay. Something that I researched. I should probably just do a whole video on this, but I was doing research because people were talking a lot of smack on why Honda Ridgeline and all this stuff. And it comes down to the fact that a Honda Ridgeline stock, now the gearing isn't necessarily correct, but for in relation, but compared to a Tacoma, a 2008. Okay, I had a 2008, so I was looking up 2008 Tacomas. Okay, um, the Honda Ridgeline at the time, the Gen One at that time, actually had more horsepower and more torque than a Tacoma. It was heavier though, but it still had more of both of those things. And so I was like, man, people need to know this stuff because they're all ragging on stuff, but then it's like, it still is better in some numbers, right? I mean, numbers are numbers, you can't lie, right? So, and that's with it dialed back. And I know for a fact, like I've seen some videos of like Honda pilots that I think what's it called? Texas Honda channel, I believe. Shout out to him. I talked to him a while back, like probably a year ago now. But he was putting a turbo, not turbo, a supercharger on uh, his pilot. And it actually did pretty sweet. So I was gonna do the same thing, but these motors, I mean, Honda motors are. I mean, people will get on there with their laptops and freaking get power out of them, right? So that's another thing that is pretty sweet about those motors. Um, you you could supercharge it, do all that stuff, and really start cranking up the horsepower. Um, so, anyways, let's see. Any other questions that I've had lately? Again, if you guys have any questions, type them up so I can see them. Um, trying to think. I haven't seen any questions pop up, so this is just a Q and A. I'm just trying to think of other things that I've been asked. Um, it's all that's coming to mind. I just jumped on because I had a couple people ask me, like, "Hey, what about this? What about this?" And so I just started spitting some answers to those questions. But I'm trying to think of other questions I've been asked, and I don't recall at the moment. I don't recall any other ones. Um, anyway, so I've driven. I put 30,000 miles on the Ridge line in like a year and a half. Um, just because I was driving to and from Alaska and then all over trails and stuff. It's actually a really good overlanding rig, I think, with the setup that I had, because most overlanding things are not that hardcore. So in my thought is it it does totally great. Again, though, the only thing that it would need is a low gear. If it had a low gear, I probably wouldn't have changed anything from the way mine was set up, which means I'm figuring it out and I just need another Ridgeline. So if any of you guys that ever see this, if any of you guys want to sponsor another Ridgeline, I'll take it. And we'll get that stuff figured out and it'll be a legit Honda Ridgeline with some upgrades. So I think it'll be pretty sweet. Um, yeah. Well, guys, I'm not seeing any questions pop up. Those are all the questions that had kind of came up. Um, but I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully, this was at least a little helpful, a little entertaining. And yeah, I actually kind of like doing these lives. I think they're kind of fun. Um, see if we can get some more interaction on the next couple, and then we'll really start getting things moving. So, all right, guys, appreciate it. Tune into the last one too. You'll kind of hear some more of the story and whatnot. And yeah, so let's tear this thing up. We'll see you on the next one.